Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning in with me today. Now for today's video I have something really exciting prepared for you guys. In this video I'm going to be introducing a brand that I've never talked about on my channel, but it's definitely not new to me, but it's new to my channel. And we're going to be talking about Sigma Beauty and their brand new eyeshadow palette, New Mod. Now, this is also a really exciting video because I'm actually doing a collaboration with my friend Maud from Mybeautyfullrealm. I'm definitely going to be linking her channel in my description box below. She actually is going to do a kind of similar video to mine. So at the end of my video, if you haven't had enough from this eyeshadow palette, please go over to her channel and check her video out. Of course, I'm going to be linking her video also at the end of my video, and I'm also going to include it in my description box. But yeah, let's talk about Sigma Beauty because I bet you guys have heard of Sigma Beauty. If not, don't you worry, I got you covered in this video. Now, Sigma Beauty is actually an American beauty brand. They were founded in 2009 and they're actually really well known for their makeup brushes, which I do have quite a few of them. So some of them are right here. You may recognize these because they're very well known for their makeup brushes. I mean, most of these makeup brushes are really stunning, but today we're not going to be talking about their makeup brushes. We are going to be talking about their brand new palette. Now, I actually do have I think 3 other Sigma Beauty eyeshadow palettes, but I don't know, I never came around to review them. So I thought, why not, just review their newest release, their newest addition to the collection, the New Mod eyeshadow palette. This is such an exciting release by Sigma. I feel like this palette came out a couple of weeks ago, and ever since I got my hands on it, I was playing around with this quite a lot, and I was creating 5 different looks that I'll be showing you in this video as well. And also we're going to be creating a look together because as you may be able to see, I've got nothing on my eyes yet. So we're going to be doing a look together and I'm going to be showing you 5 more looks that I've created because in order to be giving you a really in-depth review, I had to be playing around with this palette prior to recording this video. And let me tell you, I have my head wrapped around, my thoughts are there. So if this video is your vibe, if you find it helpful, why not hit that subscribe button, stay with me on here a little bit longer. I do a bunch of beauty reviews. You can also ring the bell in order to stay notified about these new videos. And if you do enjoy this review and if you find it helpful, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. That would be extremely appreciated. But yeah, I've never talked about Sigma Beauty before on my channel, so I just wanted to mention that this brand is also, of course, 100% cruelty-free. I mean, all of my reviews are based around cruelty-free makeup, and I think this palette is also vegan. I think all of their makeup is vegan, which is kind of great. Now, let me know if you're actually interested in this brand because I could maybe do a full face review. So if you're kind of interested in the brand, do let me know in the comments down below. I always appreciate your comments. I love reading them. So thank you for everyone who's commenting. We're going to be talking about all of the details on the palette. I'm going to show you swatches of the entire palette. And of course, I'm going to show you these 5 looks. We're going to put on a look together. And yeah, if you still haven't had enough, don't forget Maud's video. Okay guys, so I'm going to be zooming you in, and without no further ado, let's talk about this beautiful Sigma Beauty eyeshadow palette. Alright, I am zoomed in, so let's go ahead and yeah, let's start talking about this beautiful palette. So this is the Sigma New Mod palette and this retails for $49. Here it is. Oh my goodness, just have a look at these beautiful shades. Oh, yes. So when I saw this palette, oh my god, I thought this was such a beautiful color story. That's really what drew me to this palette, like the colors. I thought they were super unique. I mean, this color story is just in and of itself so pretty. Oh yeah, and by the way, usually this brush is right here. This comes with a brush, which I really appreciate about Sigma eyeshadow palettes. They always come with a brush. I mean, they're known for their brushes, so they tend to include one, which is really great. And yeah, let's actually go ahead and let's talk about this beautiful eyeshadow palette. And I'm actually going to have a look what they're actually saying on the website about this. So this palette has 14 eyeshadows, dual-ended brush, full-size mirror included. Designed with the modern beauty lover in mind, New Mod encourages you to think as a trendsetter and stay ahead of the game. No matter your style, this versatile eyeshadow palette and dual-ended brush will help you create eye looks that kill. There are a couple of things that I definitely agree with. Yeah, let's also talk about the versatility. I mean, with 14 eyeshadows, you know, you can always kind of do a lot of things. But when I saw this, I thought this was a very great color story for a spring release, you know. This really just screamed spring vibes to me, personally. But when I tried this out, I was kind of surprised at how some shades are a little bit different. They look a little bit different in the pan than they actually come across on your eye. But we're going to be talking about this in a second. I definitely thought that this was the more neutral kind of side, this part, and here we have the more kind of pinky vibes, and then we have a golden shade, and then also we have this shade here, which is a little bit deeper. So I thought that was great, you know, in terms of tone value of the palette. This goes from a very bright shade to a very deep shade, and you have these multitudes of shimmers combined with mattes. Now I'm going to be showing you all of the swatches on my arm, and then we're going to be talking about the formula in and of itself. I'm going to start with this being the very first swatch. This is going to be the second one, this the third one, this the fourth one. So we're going to jump from the top row to the bottom row and back to the top row, back to the bottom row, okay? So the very first shade on the very far left is the shade Hood. And that shade to me is kind of like a peachy golden shimmer shade. It is a little bit warmer than it looks like in the pan. And then next to it is the shade Preppy, which is just this beautiful, soft, skin-toned matte. You can use this as a base. And then the next shade to it is the shade Sophisticated, which in the pan looks like a really cool, neutral brown shade. But you can see a little bit of pinkness popping through. And then next to it, we have the shade Vintage. Oh my gosh, I love this shade. So stunning. This is a beautiful shimmer shade. As a base, it does have this beautiful kind of mid-tone brown. And this has some very interesting shimmer in it. I can see green shimmers, I can see golden shimmers, and I can see silver shimmers. Now the shade next to it is the shade Posh. In the pan, it looks like a light sort of metallic neutral brown, but on my skin, it comes across as almost like peachy pink metallic shade. It's just weird. This looks completely different in the pan than on your eyes and in the swatches. Then next to it we have the shade Street Style, which I would describe as more of a brown plum tone. And then right next to that one we have the shade New Mod, which is a matte sort of more muted pink peach. Then next to that one is the shade Flashy, like a true almost rose gold with pink shimmer to it. And then next to it is one of my favorite shades, the shade Avant-Garde, which is this just beautiful sort of pink base with this amazing cool toned iridescent sort of blue flecks to it. Right next to it is the shade Voguish. I would describe Voguish as a really kind of berry shade. And then right next to it is the shade Edgy, and that shade Edgy definitely has some red undertone to it. And then next to Edgy is this really interesting shade Artsy. That shade almost has like a deep undertone to it, like a deep base to it with pink shimmer. It's very interesting. I've never seen any color like that. And then the shade Glam is definitely a warm kind of leaning copper shade. And then the last shade is the shade Grunge, which is black brown, more ashy. It's the deepest shade of them all, but also maybe the patchiest one and the one that was kind of hard to swatch. But yeah, I'm gonna show you the 5 different looks that I did, and I actually named them also because I wanted to show you guys what is actually possible with this palette. So let's talk about the very first look. So the very first look I created was more of a pink vibe look. So I used the shade New Mod in my crease, and then I deepened my crease with the shade Victorious. On my lower lash line, I went in with the shade Edgy. For my waterline, I use my Pacifica eyeliner. I can never remember how this is called. This is their beige kind of flash toned eyeliner. I just love this one. And on my lids, I use this really interesting shade Artsy. In all seriousness, I've never seen a pink shade like that. It really has this black, almost dark brown shift to it. And then also in my inner corner, I tried out the shade Glam, which is this beautiful, more coppery gold. And yeah, I mean, this was very exciting. This was something different. So this is the pink look that I did. Let me know if you like this or not. So for the second look, I definitely tried to stay away as much as I could from the pink shades. And I created something very different. So for my base, I used the lightest shade, Preppy, all over my lids. I really just tried to create a base, you know, for this. And then in my crease, as a transition shade, I used the shade Sophisticated. And now this shade Sophisticated is the one that I told you about. It actually turned out to look more pink than I actually thought it would. It looks nothing on my lids like it actually does in the pan, which was very, very surprising to me. And then in order to deepen my crease and enhance my crease, I used the deepest shade in this palette, which is the shade Grunge. And as you can see, this gave the look a very different vibe. So in my waterline, I used my Victoria Beckham Beauty liner in the shade Cocoa. And then on my lower lash line, I used the shade Street Style, which is this more reddish kind of plummy shade. On my lid, I went in with the shade Vintage. And Vintage is such a beautiful, beautiful shade. I feel like Vintage might be like my second favorite shade. This definitely has some gold shimmer and also some green shimmer in it. It is a very, very interesting color. I have really never seen any kind of brown shade shifting this way. And then for my inner corner, I used the shade Oud. This look is just something completely different that you can do if, in case you kind of want to avoid the pink as much as possible. So the third look that I did, I feel like this is more of your everyday friendly kind of look. So again, I used the shade Preppy, the lightest shade, all over my lids to create a base. And then again, as a crease slash transition shade, I did use the shade Sophisticated. On my lower lash line, I used Sophisticated as well. And then I went over with the shade Grunge, the deepest shade, actually to just deepen the edges a little bit, to give the eye a little bit more dimension. And then on my lids, I used the shade Posh. And the shade Posh, to my surprise, it is also much more pinkish than I thought it would be. I thought this would be a light brown. Turns out to be a little bit like rosier, peachier than it looks in the pan. This was another shade that fooled me slightly because it just turns out to be completely different. Also, this is more of a metallic shade. This is definitely not a shimmer shade, but it's a beautiful sort of rosy, peachy, metallic, stunning, but yeah, completely different than what I thought it would be. And then in my inner corner and on my brow bone, I highlighted again with the shade Oud. This is nothing flashy. This was something very soft that I wanted to try out, you know, to make it wearable for an everyday look. And so for my fourth look, I wanted to do something more pink again. I wanted to dive into the pink combined with this beautiful bluish shade Avant-Garde. I mean, this duochrome shimmer that I'm gonna be raving about until the end of the video. And yeah, so I would say this is the Avant-Garde look because this was the very first time that I tried out this beautiful duochrome shimmer. So I started off with Sophisticated in my crease, and also I used this as a transition shade. Then I went in with the shade Street Style in order to enhance my crease, to deepen it up. So this looked a little bit too much, so I added the shade New Mod over it in order to soften it out slightly. I again used my Victoria Beckham liner in my waterline. On my lower lash line, I also used the shade Street Style. And then on my lids, now it comes this beautiful shade Avant-Garde. Oh my gosh, this is so stunning. I was just like, wow. This is so, so pretty. I mean, I'm all for it. This is my favorite shade out of the entire palette. I just love this one so much because it's so unique. It has just this beautiful, beautiful reflect, and just the shift of this is just very, very special. And then my fifth look is more of a purple vibe look. I was like, what shades haven't I used in the palette yet? You know, I should really get some use out of these as well. So in my crease, I started off with the shade New Mod, and then I used the shade Voguish to deepen my crease. I mean, I went over that shade New Mod and just gave it a really sort of pinky, purpley vibe. On my lower lash line, I used the shade New Mod in the beginning, and then on the edges, I used the shade Edgy. And then I actually used the shade Preppy, starting in my inner corner, and then I kind of brought it up all over the lids, you know, just to brighten up the color a little bit and give it a little bit more dimension as well. And then on my lids, I used this beautiful sort of more rosy glitter shade called Flashy. This again has a little bit of a peachiness to it. It's not completely pink and stuff. So, and then again for my highlight in my inner corner and my brow bone, I used the shade Hood. It definitely has some gold flecks in it, and it has more of like a peach pink vibe. Alright, you guys, so those were the 5 looks. Let me know which one was your favorite one out of those. I mean, there are a couple of things I still want to point out while we're going to be playing around with this palette now. And I'm going to try and do something a little bit different, which is going to be a little bit difficult. Now, let me tell you a couple of things while we're going to be doing this. First off, I should really be using a Sigma brush for this. So this is the brush that you're going to get with, I think it's the same one for every eyeshadow palette. So this side is an E38. I actually do have a single brush. I already have that. And then this one is more of a sweeping brush for the lids, and this one is the E54 medium sweeper. I actually want to start off with the shade Preppy today. I'm just going to use this all over my lids. This one is very, very close to my skin tone, but yet it has a little bit of pink in it. Not much, just a little bit, you know. Definitely a light skin tone, and it works well to just give your eyes a good base, you know. Actually, I'm wearing my Lila B concealer as a primer. I always have that concealer as a primer on. It's not really a primer, it's just more to cover my veins really than anything else. It's not gonna, you know, do anything so that your eyeshadow sticks better. You know, it's nothing sticky or anything. It's just more of a concealer. But you can definitely see the difference now. It's a really, really great base shade. I don't really like this, you know. Not every kind of light shade works as a base, but this definitely works. This also works if you want to brighten up any other shade in the palette. And now what I want to do for today's look, I'm going to use the shade Sophisticated. I'm just going to put it in my crease and build this up a little bit. Now I do want to say one thing about this formula. The mattes in this palette are kind of difficult to work with. I'm not gonna lie, you guys, I feel like I am gonna blend for ages. And also this is not really my favorite brush in the world to do this. You know what, I gotta change my brush again. I love Sigma brushes, but I just prefer my Lila B one. It is just a very different application, you'll see what I mean. I'm so used to this brush, you know. I mean, this is just life-changing, you know. You can just see how different the application goes with this brush. And I love Sigma brushes, don't get me wrong, but maybe not the E38. I prefer the Sigma brushes, you know. I'm going to show you the Sigma brushes that I actually prefer when we're doing this look, because I'm definitely going to be using some, and actually I'm always using the same Sigma brushes, but it's not the E38 that diffuse crease. I think this is better to diffuse to crease. This kind of shade Sophisticated, it just has a funny undertone. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, like the edges, that's where I have to do a lot of blending with this matte formula. This formula is so silky, but for some reason it just takes ages to blend, and they're kind of hard on the edges, you know. You have to work them. The matte formulas. I'm not talking about the shimmers or the metallics, they're very different. But the mattes, all of them are kind of hard to work with, you know. I have to build them up, and then I always get a strange line, and you can see kind of a really hard edge, and sometimes they tend to look a little bit patchy, which is not ideal if you're a beginner. So if you've never done eyeshadows, like, I feel like this is not very beginner friendly in that sense. But hey, I had some palettes that were definitely worse in terms of patchiness, but it's always a lot of work to blend, 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 blend. And I feel like if you don't have the time, this is quite a time-consuming eyeshadow formula, but it's so pretty still. So, all right, I feel like I'm gonna move on to the next eye and try and see what I mean. I mean, it's just the edge of this. I have to blend and blend and blend and blend with this formula in order to really make it work. They feel very buttery, this entire formula, when you swatch them. But then on your eyes, you have to blend and blend and blend and really work them in. You have to really put the work in it, you know. You can definitely get a lot of pigment payoff, but you just have to blend. And again, the edges are kind of harsh, you know. If you're not careful, you're gonna end up having harsh lines. Maybe not so much with this shade in particular, but I remember two shades that were kind of hard to blend out. And those were like the deepest shade. Actually, the shade Street Style and the shade Grunge. Those two, they took me ages to blend. Like ages and ages and ages. So that's kind of like a little bit of the downside, if I'm honest with you guys. This one maybe not so much because it's a little bit lighter. But yeah, that shade Grunge and the shade Street Style, they were very difficult to blend. And I actually had to go over with like a brush with no product on it. And my big brush here by Ilia, I used that. I might use this again just to go over it and just kind of diffuse this a little bit more, because I feel like you really need a bigger brush for this just to go over it in case you end up with harsh edges. All right, and let's put something in my waterline. I'm gonna use my beloved Victoria Beckham Satin Kajal liner in the shade Cocoa, which is this beautiful brown shade. I think I'm just gonna leave it like this right now, and we're gonna move on to my lower lash line because I really want to show you one of my favorite eyeshadow brushes in the world, and that one is by Sigma. I use this probably every day, and it's their flat definer E15. This one right here, it's so amazing. I always use this for my lower lash line. It's perfect for that. So what are we actually gonna do? You know what? I'm actually gonna use my shade Sophisticated here as well, just so that I have a shade that connects my lower lash line to the rest of the look. So I use that brush by Sigma to apply it, but then I like to smudge it out with this brush right here. Okay, and then I'm gonna use a little bit of maybe the shade Street Style. This more, I don't want to say brown because really it's not. It's more of like a plummy brown. I'm gonna use that too on my E15. Very lightly. I'm gonna turn on the light on my mirror just to see exactly what I'm doing. Oh, wow. Okay, so now I'm gonna be using my E44 Sigma brush, which is described as a firm blending brush. I'm gonna go into the shade Preppy again, and I'm just gonna put it again in my inner corner, a little bit over my lids. So I'm gonna be just using just a little bit of this New Mod shade right here. Just the tiniest bit, you know, just to add some peachy pinkness, just a little bit. Not too much. So I could use this all over my lids, but I don't think I want to. I think I still want to go into this shade, Avant-Garde, and show you how this would look like all over my lids with this kind of base. Let's do that. Let's actually put it on my finger first. And I'm just gonna... Yeah, I forgot. I really have to dig in here. I feel like this is better with a brush. I am so used to pick up these kind of shades like with my finger because of that Eta Beauty formula, but I feel like with this I could definitely do it with a brush. So I'm actually going to use the brush that the eyeshadow palette came with, and I'm going to take it onto E54 medium sweeper here. Let me actually check this with the mirror. Oh wow, this is actually a really stunning combination. I mean, this is pink and blue in one swipe, but you can see it's sometimes, depending on how I'm turning around, the glitter, it is all over the place, but sometimes it just tends to go into the crease a little bit, so I'm just have to blend this a little bit more. So I'm going to take a detailed blending E27 by Sigma and just try and pat this down a little bit. I mean, there's very minimal fallout with this, super minimal, almost none, you know. I just have a little bit of glitter right here. That's not a biggie. I might just, you know, take it up a little bit more. Alright, you guys, I really love this shade Avant-Garde. So stunning. And what do I want to do next? I definitely do want to highlight the corner of my eye. So this is maybe something that is a little bit more difficult because I kind of feel like this would require now a kind of icy highlighter, like more of a cool toned sort of inner corner highlighter, but really all I have here is the shade Horde, which is kind of more of a gold. It doesn't really look that golden in here, but it really is gold, you know. I mean, I'm gonna put it right here and you'll see what I mean. It's gonna highlight, but it is maybe different from what it looks like in the pan too, in terms of just warmth, you know. It's a little bit more peach warm than you may think. Really does look to me like a very cool gold, but it is not as cool as you may think. Still pretty, but different from what it looks like in the pan. And then also, I do want to highlight my brow bone a little bit. And I love this brush. This is actually by Sigma and I use this almost all the time. So this is a detailed diffuse crease brush. This is the E33. And honestly, I always just use this to dust over my brow bone. So I'm going to actually use the shade Avant-Garde to do this, because this one kind of picks up the glitter more than the base pigment. And I'm just going to go over here a little bit. So I kind of just want to take that blue glitter from that shade and just go very lightly. Okay, you guys, I feel like this is pretty much it. I'm going to leave it like this. I'm going to apply some mascara and then I'm going to be back. So my mascara is applied. I did use the Limitless Lash Mascara by Ilia. This is a new tube. My old one was completely gone. It was completely empty and of course expired. So I picked this up again. And yeah, I have to say, now with the mascara everything comes together, looks so different than without mascara. But yeah, for my lips, I'm actually so tempted to use my Lawless lip gloss. But I also have this product by Sigma that I recently picked up. I know it might not be a matching shade, but I'm still gonna put it on just to show you guys. So this is the Sigma Renew Lip Oil, and this retails for $22. This is the shade Tint. They do have this in different shades. They have 3 more shades. So I'm just gonna be putting this one on. I know it's not the best shade, but believe me, this almost comes onto your lips. It almost looks like a clear lip gloss. This does not have much pigment. It looks so sheer, and to be honest, it's not my favorite formula, but I'm still gonna put it on just to show you guys because it is a Sigma product, and it's also quite a new product by them. Yeah, it's kind of slippery on your lips. It's not really something that I would recommend necessarily. I mean, it's okay, but it's definitely not worth $22 to me, in my opinion, in my honest opinion, you guys. I mean, it gives you a lot of shine. A lot of shine, but almost no pigment. I don't know. The formula, it's so lightweight. It's almost like, I feel like this is gonna disappear in an hour or so. It's definitely not the most long-lasting sort of lip product, but if you like that shine, high shine thing, it's nice, but I definitely expected something more, I don't know, unique, revolutionary. I don't know what I expected. It is not bad, but it's also, I don't know if I would ever like get this again and repurchase this once this is empty. It's not bad, but definitely not my favorite one. Anyway, let's just go back to the palette. I'm not here to talk about the lip oil too much. Again, if you want a full face of Sigma Beauty, let me know in the comments down below if you're interested. I also have a couple of other palettes by this brand that I never reviewed. I have this Ambience palette, the Enchanted palette. I'm not even sure if you can get that anymore. And I have that Warm Neutrals palette, I think. But back to this one. So final thoughts on this. If you do like pink, if you do like peachy purple stuff and some plum tones and gold, definitely a lot of like gold in here. You may not recognize this at first, but a lot of the glitter is actually gold. I would definitely recommend this, you know. And also that avant-garde shade. Oh, don't get me started. I love this so much. It's so stunning. But then again, all of the matte shades, kind of hard to blend. Just keep that in mind, you know. If you are a beginner in makeup, I wouldn't really necessarily recommend this one. I think my friend Maud, she actually told me the same, that she was struggling to blend some of the matte shades in here. So I don't think I'm alone with my opinion, but it's such a unique color story. If you are a fan of these colors and you want a new exciting eyeshadow palette, why not, eh? Also, do let me know if you've tried this palette, you know. And yeah, don't forget to head over to Mods. I have to be so careful because this is called Mod, and then Mod. Feel like this palette was maybe made for her, you know. So yeah, don't forget to head over to her channel as well. I'm gonna link her video in my description box and of course in my end cards. That being said, do let me know which of these looks was your favorite one in today's video, and if you did find this video helpful in any way, please don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. That would be of course very appreciated. And if you have not hit the subscribe button, just hit it. Ring the bell in order to stay notified, and I'll be seeing you very soon with the next one. So please do take care. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.